Warning, this video contains my opinion on Bendy and the Ink Machine. If you're afraid of opinions, I would recommend clicking off the video now. Also spoilers as well. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click off now. Bendy and the Ink Machine. Bendy and the Ink Machine is a game that came out of nowhere and hit the world by storm both at the exact same time in April 2017, and since then, it hasn't been losing any of its popularity. So far, this game has 3 chapters, one of them being free to play, so if you want to, you can try it out for yourself and see if it's for you, and 2 other chapters released for $6. I know this game is a very touchy subject for many people just because of either how good it is, how negative it is, or the in-between. And either way, however you think about this game, I respect your opinion. This is just my silly opinion, and this is just my thoughts on the game. And honestly, hearing that, you might think this is a negative review, and you are sorta kinda probably, yeah, you're right. And if you hate me for that right now, I completely understand because, well, this is only just the beginning. We're going to start things off with Chapter 1. Chapter 1 of the game starts as kind of like an introductory kind of thing, or a demo. Pretty much what you do is you walk around and you collect some stuff. You can listen to some audio tapes of the cast of Bendy, like the show, and I think that's kind of neat. And you pretty much walk around, you collect some stuff, and then you kind of get the ink machine working, and that summons Bendy. You run around, try to get away from Bendy, which I don't even know if he chases you in this, and you fall in a hole, you don't die, and pretty much that's the end of the first chapter. It's not, I mean, it's okay if it was used for like a prologue, like if you wanted to start things off but not have it as a full chapter. It can be completed in less than 10 minutes. It doesn't have any real gameplay, and it just doesn't have much to offer. I mean, I understand this is like an introduction to the game, so I'm not going to shit on it too much, but yeah, I think that's all that I can really say about Chapter 1. 2 days later, I finally decided to watch something on Chapter 2 of Bendy and the Ink Machine. I realized that Chapter 2 is $6, but you get only 20 minutes of gameplay out of it, and that's kind of sad. I mean, yes, the second chapter is better than the first one. It adds a bit of gameplay, a few more puzzles, and, well, some action, kind of. And whenever I say action, all I'm talking about is you have an axe and you just kill these little enemies that die in one hit. And if you die to them, you have to start the chapter from the very beginning, which is very obnoxious. The character Sammy Lawrence is the only interesting character so far in this chapter, and he seems like he'd be an interesting character to develop, but he dies in not even 6 minutes of getting to learn about him, so that's all down the drain. Sammy Lawrence is kind of like a cult leader that follows Bendy, which I honestly really like the idea of. I just wish that he could have had more to develop himself as a character. Honestly, he's the most interesting thing in the game in my opinion, but they killed him off so quickly. There are a few scares in this chapter, like maybe a few from the searchers once you first see them, but once you see them a few times, they just start becoming a nuisance. The searchers just keep respawning in the same spots over and over, so once you've killed them a few times, like you've had to backtrack or something, their locations get predictable and you already know what they're gonna be like. Honestly, the only real good jump scare in this whole chapter is when Sammy sneaks up behind you and hits you, and pretty much takes you to his den. After that, things start going downhill a little bit. He starts summoning Bendy, and this is when it caught my interest, and I thought he was gonna come after you or something while you were hostage, and I thought that was gonna be very interesting, but he ends up killing Sammy instead, and you pretty much get a way to escape. You kill a few searchers, and you break through, your axe breaks, and you see an inky room. You think that's actually safe, and bam, Bendy pops up. That's kind of interesting. He has a good design now, compared to when Chapter 1 was originally released. And then you run a little bit from Bendy, you walk in another room, the door automatically closes, making it 100% safe, and you see Boris. That's the whole chapter right there for you. A couple of puzzles, Sammy Lawrence, he dies, then you go and get chased by Bendy, and then you go in another room and meet Boris. That's pretty much the only way that you can summarize that chapter. For $6, it's very, very not worth it. Like, you get barely anything from it. I mean, you could buy a whole FNAF game from that, and even though I find the FNAF games boring, it's still more gameplay than this. It's disappointing on a level that you have to pay for it, when this could have just been an extension to Chapter 1, and it would have flown perfectly fine. But anyway, I guess it's time to go on to the main reason I made this video, which was Chapter 3. Chapter 3 starts off with you pretty much getting to meet Boris a bit more and getting him some food. It's an interesting concept, him helping you out, but they don't do it that much. Boris pretty much gives you a lever and you get out of the safe room. He follows you around for the rest of the chapter and helps you out with a couple of puzzles, but you pretty much do a few more puzzles and then you get to meet Alice Angel. Alice Angel is introduced in a room where she is singing and, well, a predictable jump scare pops up where she comes out of a TV, breaks it. Then you get to go meet Alice Angel in a more formal way later on. She pretty much wants you to be her little errand bitch, and she makes you do all this stuff for her, and she promises to get you out of there. It sounds like that she'd be an okay character, that's if you are brain dead, but if you can't tell by her design, she's a snake. She's trying to become perfect, and she's using you to get there. I don't think that you can predict her to be nice in the end. Or they tell you pretty much how long this game is going to be, so if Alice was going to be kind, this game would only be 3 chapters. This chapter, by far, is the longest of all of them, but that does not mean that it's good. It's another $6, which I think it's more worth it than Chapter 2 for gameplay. It's just a few more puzzles, killing the enemies again, killing the searchers, barely any Bendy popping up. And there's one new enemy, which I don't know what it's called. It's just kind of some amalgamation of Alice and Bendy, I think. And they're fairly easy. They're just kind of bulky searchers that move slower. And you do some of that. You meet some new characters through their voice thingies, whatever they're called, their recorders. And I guess that's interesting. There's Jacksepticeye in there. Eventually, you do some more things for Alice. She tells you that, oh, you need to break some Bendy cardboard cutouts for me, please. Make Bendy angry. And you do that, and Bendy gets his screen time in the chapter. Oh, it's so exciting. You get to see Bendy. And then you pretty much go down an elevator before he even gets to you. Bendy is not a threat in this chapter at all, unless you just want to wander around or you make him a threat. Another summary of the chapter is you go around doing tasks for Alex. You pretty much do tasks for Alice Angel, going around on an elevator, going between floors, and doing things that seem very repetitive, visiting the same places over and over again just for her silly needs so she can kill you in the long run. And then she can take Boris and steal her ink so she can become quote-unquote beautiful. The one thing I found very interesting in this chapter was the room filled with dead Borises. Now, is there anything I'm forgetting? Oh yeah, the Butcher Gang that are pretty much just normal enemies that feel like they have a bit more health. And they're apparently attacking Alice Angel. There are these puzzles in Chapter 3, like with ink things that you have to use to get like on an elevator or something. And they're very annoying. I watched someone do it in a live stream and it took them a minute or two just to get one done, and they had to do it 3 times, and it's very repetitive. You just spin 3 wheels, and there's no real threat to it anyway. Like, you'd think that, oh, Bendy could come after you and try to make you have to hide. Since throughout the chapter there are these places it says that you need to hide, but there's no reason to do it except for one area, which I'll bring up in a minute. So the wheels, you just have to keep spinning them or something until you're allowed to go to the next one, and eventually back to Alice Angel, I believe. And then you kill some bloated searchers, and you pretty much take those to Alice. The one thing that made me mad in this chapter, she gives you a Tommy gun that melts right in your hands. The interesting thing that could have brought in a twist. You could fend off Bendy. You could shoot at him to make him want to go away. You could actually defend yourself from a greater threat, and it melts in your hands. So much potential there was lost. Motherfucker. Oh yeah, another one of the things that Alice makes you do. There's something involving, like, ink hearts that you have to go down into another depth area, and pretty much there's this new thing that comes after you. I don't think you can kill it, and I thought it was a very interesting design, and then I realized how it played. It's pretty much like this ink thing with a projector as a head, and I actually kind of like that concept because of how unique it is. But then it's like it can't hear you whatsoever, so you could pretty much walk right behind it and it wouldn't even hurt you. The thing only can see you, and it's very easy to tell when you're in its spotlight. And whenever you are in its spotlight, it's not even that fast, and you pretty much walk into one of those door things that are throughout the chapter, and there you are, you're safe. It just pretty much resets its AI, and it just starts wandering around aimlessly like it didn't even see you to begin with. It's a cool concept at heart, but it's not executed well at all. And once you do all those missions for Alice, which I think I named all of them, other than the gear one. That one pretty much just makes you go around with a wrench collecting gears, killing some enemies because they're in your way, and providing no real scares or anything. But then you go back to Alice Angel, you go into the place that she's been hiding the whole time, and voila, she brings you up the elevator or something and kills you. I don't know, I can't remember. I mean, that's pretty much a summary of what happens, I guess. But, well, she doesn't kill you, obviously. There's gotta be 2 more chapters in the game. That better not be disappointing. Now that we're pretty much done with Chapter 3, let's get to some of the other things. The last thing involving Bendy that I'm wanting to talk about is the fandom. I'm going to keep this brief because it's very similar to Five Nights at Freddy's, and more than likely you already know what that fandom's all about. The Bendy and the Ink Machine fandom is pretty much filled with animations, it's filled with a lot of artwork, some shipping. The artwork and the animations, they can be phenomenal or they can be really bad. It's hard to find an in-between area, honestly. But I honestly think that's the best part of the whole thing is the fandom. Even if it has its bad side, because even though I do find the game lackluster, the fandom, like what the fans create, can be great. In conclusion, I'm not a big fan of the game, but like the fan creations are what I'm more interested in. The animations keep me interested in it. The artwork keeps me interested. The gameplay I've kind of lost a lot of my interest towards, and I'm kind of feeling mixed feelings about it. I don't think that this is just bias, but I feel the same way about Five Nights at Freddy's, and look where I am. I'm like an animator that's been doing it for 2 years, and I don't really like the games that much, since I haven't really played much since like late 2015, maybe a bit 2016. But yeah, I think the fan creations are the main thing that keeps Bendy alive. I mean, if the game didn't have what it has in the fandom, I think it would be way too overrated, and I think it is a bit overrated in FNAF as well, so don't think I'm just protecting it. But in the long run, I have mixed feelings about Bendy and the Ink Machine. Just the game itself, no, I'm not a fan of it at all. The community, I think it's okay. So, I'm gonna leave on that note, keep everything positive, and in the end, this is just my opinion. If you think Bendy and the Ink Machine is a great game, good for you. It's something I can't enjoy. So, if you find enjoyment in something I can't, more power to you. And if you hate me, I'm sorry. I'm just saying my little opinion, and I felt like making a video like this. Always nice to try something new. And I know this was a touchy subject. I said that like in the beginning of the video 4 days ago when I started working on this, but I feel like it's nice to have my opinion out, and I hope you don't mind, and I hope that you like this kind of content, since I want to try to do some stuff like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed.